Hey, welcome back to the 5 Minute Strategist. A few years ago, I was at an event with a small group of business owners, and one of the guest speakers was one of the founders of a very well-known journal that most of us in the business space have used. And when we asked him what was like the one piece of advice or the one nugget that he would give to every small business owner, he said, you have to understand that your team will never love your business like you do. And I say this to small business owners all the time. You cannot expect your team to sacrifice or care like you do. And this is a problem when people start to build a team. They think about what would I do in that situation and expect that same level from their team. And I'm not saying that your team doesn't care at all or that they won't sacrifice at all for your business. But I want you to think about what would happen if something is happening that's massive in their personal life. Their job, your business, is not going to be their priority in the same way that it would be for you. This is why that rhetoric of like your team or your family or your team or your friends is so dangerous. Because we put that level of expectation on them, which is completely unfair. Because if things are not going well in the business or they underperform, you would feel completely within your rights to fire them. So expecting that level of commitment that you would expect from your family or even your friends when you're not prepared to give that same is completely unfair. So what we want to try to do is just move the needle a little bit more in the direction of how much you care about your business. Think about how your business would perform if your team were half as invested in your goals as you are, or where you had a team who took accountability instead of you needing to spend time and energy to hold them accountable. And you're probably thinking this is requiring something of them, but the reality is this really requires a lot from you. As with all things strategy, we start with your vision. In order for them to feel that sense of ownership, your vision has to be so compelling that the team feels inspired to be a part of it. They have to want to own that vision. It also has to be so clear that they can see how their role plays a part in implementing it, in getting to that vision. And you have to communicate it so frequently that it becomes a part of their business psyche. It has to be in there the whole time they're doing their job. They need to understand the direction that you're driving in, the roadmap that they have to make decisions, and what success looks like. That's how you get them to be proactive. You know how you wish your team would just make a decision and stop bugging you for everything? You have to give them this feeling of ownership for that to happen. Next, you have to trust them. And this is where so many small business owners struggle. But you can't share the ownership of the vision unless you trust that that person can help you reach it. Otherwise, it's just your vision and they're there to do what they're told. If you are micromanaging them, you remove any power that they have to do anything without your input. So when you micromanage them, it feels like you don't believe in their ability to make a decision or execute on a goal. So how are they meant to believe that they can do it? Or that you even want them to? How do they even try? And then here's the kicker. Once you've built that trust and you've instilled that sense of confidence in them and they're ready to try, you have to make sure you don't destroy it at the first hurdle. You have to create a safe space where they can ask for help and they can admit mistakes without being punished. But this is not just for their benefit. Yes, them being able to ask for help, tell you they made a mistake, helps them to develop and improve. But it's also crucial because it helps you to trust them more and micromanage them less. Because you have to know that they will tell you if they need you. But that only happens if you make it safe for them to tell you that to start with. So we've created some ownership. Now let's think about the accountability side of the equation. You need to tell your team what boundaries they're working within and what success looks like. When everyone knows exactly what's expected of them, then we remove confusion. If they're not confused, then they can look for opportunities to be proactive. And this means you need to be setting clear goals and success metrics for those goals. With goal setting, you need to communicate your expectations. So most people are pretty good about doing that. But the piece that everybody forgets is that you need to get their buy-in. They need to agree that that goal is achievable. Otherwise, they're just going to be completely demotivated. And they also need to agree that the metric and the timeline that you've suggested are best for what you're asking them to do. So goals are a two-way street. Sometimes we can be a little too one-way in this. This is what I want you to do, but this time in this way. And then we wonder why they don't hit it. Well, you never asked them if they thought they could even achieve that goal. Again, we're back to how empowered are they feeling? Then once everybody has their goals, we need to make sure that there are feedback systems in place. So we can talk about the goals, whether we need to adjust them. We can talk about wins. We can talk about misses. And we go back into that safe space conversation, right? We want to talk about all of this in a way that we're focused on their growth, not rapping their knuckles for doing something wrong. And remember, feedback is multidirectional. You can go up and down and side to side. Not all of it has to be formal. But in order for people to ask for that feedback or to feel empowered to give that feedback, you have to create a business where transparency is the norm. And again, that starts with you. Your team is an incredible asset in your business. And if you can create a culture where they feel responsible for the company's success, so they own the vision, they're accountable for their part of the vision, think about how freeing that will be to you when you don't have to micromanage, when you're not being asked questions 24/7. Think about how engaged they will be in their role in your business. And then think about what that will do to your momentum and your bottom line. So how are you fostering ownership and accountability within your team?